This is our second in-person and streaming concert of the series. We've got about 100 people streaming, and I forgot how many are here, but it's great to see faces. It's great to have you all back, and it's great to be in person again. Windborne. I think I first saw Windborne 10 years ago when they started out, and they were really great then. But they have just gone over the top. Fabulous harmonies, but you all know that. You might have heard them at Old Songs. You could have heard them at the festival online this year. They're going to be at the festival live and in person in July. We're going to be so happy to get back to a live in-person festival. In any case, I'm going to shut up now and let them show you what they do, and you can listen and have a great time. Windborne!
We plow and so low that we delve in the dirty clay, till we bless the plain with golden grain and the vale with the fragrant hay. Our place we know, we are so low down at the landlord's feet. We're not too low the bread to grow, but too low the bread to eat. We're low, we are so low, yet from our fingers glide the silken flow and the robes that glow round the limbs of the sons of pride. And what we get and what we give, we know, and we know our share. We're not too low the cloth to weave, but too low the cloth to wear. Down, down we go, we are so low to the hell of the deep sunk mine. But we gather the proudest gems that glow when the crown of the despot shines. Whenever he lacks upon our backs fresh loads he deigns to lay, we're far too low to vote the tax, but not too low to pay. We're low as to war we go, to fight some foreign country that was yesterday our greatest friend, but today's our enemy. God bless our boys, the papers scream, praise them the churchmen cry. When the war is won and home we come, who cares if we live or die? We're low, so low into boats we go to flee war in our home country. And we'll try to make a better life when we land across the sea. But send them back, the press cries out, back to where they came. We're far too low to feed and clothe, but not too low to blame. We are so low, but soon we know that the low folk will arise. The tyrants in their towers of gold shall hear the people's cries. No more shall they hold us in thrall, their lies we will not heed. But every heart shall hear the call, and the people will be
have other songs to sing for you tonight.
Thank you.
We are Windborne. This is Will, Jeremy, Lynn, and I'm Lauren, and we are so glad to be here with you in person and with you all online. Thank you for being here, live stream folks. We sing songs from a variety of countries and cultures with traditions of harmony singing, but in particular our focus in the past several years has been on songs of social struggle from throughout history, sung for the struggles that we face in today's times, as is true of that last piece, or that first piece that you just heard called Song of the Lower Classes. That's a piece that was written in the 1840s in England from the Chartist movement, a movement for voting rights for common people. And it's a song that has continued to inspire people over the years to write new words, and we joined in that tradition as well. That particular melody was by Ian Robb. And it's a piece that sort of launched us into our journey of doing full-time music several years ago when a video of us singing it outside a particularly shiny tower in New York City in 2017 went viral. I'm sure some of you have seen it. And that made us decide to go into music full-time, the response that we got from that. And that's true of a lot of our music these days. It's songs with a message that come from the past that still feel really relevant today. It's true of this next one as well, which is by Ewan MacColl. It's called The Terror Time. And it's a piece that he wrote after doing interviews with people in the Scottish traveller community. And he recalls hearing an old Scottish traveller woman using the phrase the terror time to describe the onset of winter and the hardships that she and her people faced, not just from the changing of the weather, but also from the changing of attitudes of people around them. So it's a piece that we sing now, not just thinking about Scottish travellers who still face discrimination in the British Isles, but also thinking about all of the people in our own communities who sort of exist on the margins and who might go houseless, particularly at this time of year. So this is The Terror Time.
And we just wanted to say for folks who are watching online, everyone here in this room is going to get to ask us questions or talk to us during the break, but if you want to write in during the intermission, we will actually be checking that so we can write back to you if you have questions or thoughts and we can respond to some of that. So feel free to say hi.
Right before the intermission, we'll look at it during the intermission.
Exactly.
The heather will fade and the bracken will die. Streams will run cold and clear, and the small birds will be going. And it's then that you will be known. That the terror time is near. Where will you turn now, and where will you bide? Now that the work's all done, for the farmer doesn't need you. And the council will not heed you, and the terror time has come.
The woods give no shelter and the trees are all bare. Snow's falling all around, and the children, they are crying for the bed on which they are lying is frozen to the ground.
The frost won't lift and the stove won't draw. There's ice in the water churn. In the mud and snow you're sloshing, trying to do your bit of washing. kindling won't burn. When you need the warmth of your own humankind, you pull near a town, but then they say the sight of you's offending, and the police they are sending, and you're on the road again.
The heather will fade and the bracken will die.
Streams will run cold and clear, and the small birds will be going, and it's then that you will be knowing that the terror time has near.
Now we're going to sing you a song that's in the language Occitan, which is a language spoken sort of as a minority language now in the southern part of France, although it used to be the language spoken by the majority of the entire southern half of France a century or more ago. Despite not being spoken by a lot of people now, there's a rich folklore tradition in that language, and there's a lot of people working with that folklore and in that language. And in fact, writing new songs, and this is one of those. This is a new song written by Laurent Cavalier as a protest against the construction of a new prison in his hometown of Toulouse. And it takes the traditional form of an Occitan counting song. They all count down from 9 and get less and less of what you're counting each verse. It says, there are 9 pieces of charcoal for writing, 9 thoughts for mulling over, written on the walls of 9 prison cells. And he who is sound of body will go crazy in prison. And over the course of the song, as things count down, there's less and less of those things as the song descends slowly into madness. This is No Caboose.
No carbus per scrivere, no pensaros per ministre, si appare Luces bue benanan, ben kabutu bemichan. 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 Vet carbus per scrire, vet pensaros per ministre, sur la parete vet prisu. Luces bue benanan, ben kabutu bemichan. Luces bue benanan, ben kabutu bemichan. Sed carbus per scrire, sed pensaros per ministre, sur la parete sed prisu. Luces bue benanan, ben kabutu bemichan. Luces bue benanan, ben kabutu bemichan. Ses carbus per scrire, ses pensaros per ministre, sur la parete ses prisu. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan. Sin carbus per escrire, sin pensaros per ministre, sur la parete sin prisum. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan. Tres carbus per escrire, tres pensares per ministre, sur la parete tres frisum. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan. Dos carbus per escrire, dos pensados per ministre, sur la parete dos prisum. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan. 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 In carbu per escrire, in a pensare per ministre, sur la parete d'un prisu. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan. Lucas bue benanan ben kabutu bemichan.
Thank you. That song, I will just mention for the folks online, you actually have an advantage. That's on our upcoming album, which is still available only for pre-order. So folks here, you might have to go home and find out about that on your computers. But folks who are watching online, you can go check that out on our Indiegogo or our website. You can find the CD that's on, which will be called Of Hard Times and Harmony. This next song is a piece that started off as a piece by the great Phil Oakes, who we found was a songwriter and an artist who really didn't get all of the recognition that we feel he deserved. We thought that his songwriting was brilliant and his commentary and politics were right on. This is a piece that we got the train going by. I don't know if folks can hear that. That's great. This is a piece that he wrote in 1963, just after the assassination of the civil rights lawyer activist Medgar Evers. And it's a piece that talks obviously about that assassination and the great tragedy that it was. And it also was sort of at this interesting time in history where he was writing not only with that sadness and heaviness and tragedy, but also a lot of hope, and hope for the future. The Civil Rights Act was on the cusp of being passed. There was a lot of potential for progress. And so his song ends looking forward to a new future. And we, in thinking about this song, when we wrote our version, which was the summer of 2020, we had to look back at that and also look at the progress that was not made and the things that still haven't changed. So we updated it and added a couple verses onto the end of what Phil wrote. This is our version of Phil Oakes' Ballad of Medgar Evers.
In the state of Mississippi, many years ago, a boy of 14 years got a taste of Southern law. He saw his friend hanging, and his color was his crime, and the blood upon his jacket left a brand upon his mind. Too many martyrs and too many dead. Too many lies, too many empty words were said. Too many times, too many angry men. Oh, let it never be again. His name was Medgar Evers, and he walked his road alone, like Emmett Till and thousands more whose names we'll never know. They tried to burn his home, and they beat him to the ground, but deep inside they both knew what it took to bring him down. Too many martyrs and too many dead. Too many lies, too many empty words were said. Too many times, too many angry men. Oh, let it never be again. The killer waited by his home, hidden out of sight. The police that always followed Evers disappeared that night. The killer squeezed the trigger, the bullet left his side. It struck the heart of everyone when Evers fell and died. Too many martyrs and too many dead. Too many lies, too many empty words were said. Too many times, too many angry men. Oh, let it never be again. And they laid him in his grave while the bugle sounded clear. Laid him in his grave when the victory was near, while we waited for the future, for freedom through the land. The country gained a killer and the country lost a man. Too many martyrs and too many dead. Too many lies, too many empty words were said. Too many times, too many angry men. Oh, let it never be again. We waited for that future, for that liberating day. We ignored our own complicity and didn't change our ways. Some claim that they are colorblind, but color's still a crime. And the victims of the violence leave a brand upon our minds. Their names were Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, and Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, Freddie Gray, George Floyd, and Joseph Mann, Eric Garner, and so many more who cannot breathe. Each name not just one person, but communities bereaved. They were not martyrs, but victims of hate. Dismissed and dehumanized, no justice from the state. Killed at the hands of so many angry men. Oh, let it never be again. Oh, let it never be again.
Thank you. We're going to continue with a piece from our Song on the Times album that comes from not too far away from where we live in Massachusetts. It comes from Lawrence, Massachusetts, from the early 1900s, from a movement that came to be known as the Bread and Roses Strike in the textile industry. And it was so called in part because of a speech given by the great union activist and organizer Rose Schneiderman. And she said, "What the woman that labors wants is the right to live, not simply exist. The right to life as the rich woman has the right to life, and the sun, and music, and art. The worker must have bread, but she must have roses too." And we believe that this sentiment that working class people, and really all people, deserve not just the means of sustenance, but the things that make life worth living, still very much needs fighting for, particularly in a day and age when the fight over what a fair minimum wage is still so potent. And it's a piece that really speaks to us, not just because it's a piece about workers' rights, but it also sits at the intersection of women's rights and immigrant rights as well, because Many of the textile workers in that industry at the time were women, but they were also immigrants. So this is Wind Roses.
As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill lofts gray, are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill lofts gray, are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we go marching, marching, we fight for children too, for they are watching, learning, and they'll make the world anew. Our life shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses. As we go marching, marching, unnumbered women dead go crying through our singing their ancient cry for bread. Small art and love and beauty, their drudging spirits new. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. As we go marching, marching, together we stand tall, for the rising of the women means the rising of us all. No more the drudge and idler tend that toil where one reposes, but a sharing of life's glories, bread and roses, 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 bread and roses. Give us bread, but give us roses, bread and roses, bread and roses, bread and roses.
We're going to continue in the theme of American labor song and sing you a piece by one of the most prolific composers of American labor song, Joe Hill. And Joe, I say American, Joe was originally Swedish. He came over from Sweden in 1905, and by 1910 he'd made his way all the way over across the country to Portland, Oregon, where he joined up with the newly formed Industrial Workers of the World, the IWW, sometimes known as the Wobblies. And, the Wobblies, in addition to the enemies that you might expect of a prominent labor union of the day, these factory bosses and lords of industry that didn't want their workers organizing and fighting for better wages and working conditions and all that, they also had some opponents that you wouldn't expect. And one of these was the Salvation Army. And the Salvation Army, this wasn't even just a theoretical opposition. This was something they did something about. They would send their marching band, the Salvation Army band, with the long trombone and the big bass drum, and they'd march up and down the street where the IWW was holding rallies to try and drown out the speaker, so they couldn't recruit more workers and they couldn't spread their message. You might be sitting there wondering, well, that's a little bit strange. Why were they doing that? I see some nods. And yeah, the reason that they were doing that is that they thought the IWW was spending too much time organizing people to make life on Earth better and not enough time thinking about the salvation of their eternal souls. So the IWW would be out there trying to make a speech, and the Salvation Army was trying so they'd be talking about, the power of collective action and coming together so you could, excuse me. You could see how that could be a little bit annoying. Anyway, Joe was a songwriter, and he was a clever guy, and he'd had just about enough of that. And so they hatched a plan, and the next time the Salvation Army came marching down the street with the long trombone and the big bass drum, the workers were ready, and they all burst into lyrics, sang right along with the Salvation Army band, but with new words making fun of the Salvation Army. And this was a trick that Joe pulled a number of times. This is perhaps his most famous version. It started off as a hymn called In the Sweet By and By. Maybe you know it, but if you don't, you could sort of imagine it more or less says, life on earth is hard, but do the right thing, keep your head down, don't make a fuss, and you'll be rewarded in heaven. And Joe said, no, that's not good enough. And by the time he was done with it, it said, you will eat by and by in that glorious land above the sky. Work and pray, live on hay. You'll get pie in the sky when you die. That's a lie. And that, of course, is the chorus of the song. So when you pick it up, you can join on and sing with us, either here in the room or at home, loudly at your computers. But it's called The Preacher and the Slave, or Pie in the Sky. And it's where the origin of the phrase, pie in the sky, comes from. And there's the train. We're going to wait until the key of train has passed us by.
As we wait for the train to pass by, I just want to say thank you all for coming out here. It's so nice to perform for a live audience, and we thank you for taking all of the precautions that are necessary for that, for being vaccinated, for wearing your masks. So thank you all for making live events like this possible and hopefully continuing to be possible. Yeah, give yourselves a hand.
You will eat by and by in that glorious land above the sky. Work and pray, live on hay. You'll get pie in the sky when you die. That's a lie. Long-haired preachers come out every night, trying to tell you what's wrong and what's right. But when asked about something to eat, they will answer in voices so sweet. You will eat by and by in that glorious land above the sky. Work and pray, live on hay. You'll get pie in the sky when you die. Eat by and by in that glorious land above the sky. when you die, you will sure go to hell. But you will live by and by in that glorious land above the sky. Work and pray all day. You'll get by in the sky when you die. Working folk of all countries unite. Side by side we for freedom will fight. When the world and its wealth we have gained, to the rich we will sing this refrain. You will leave by and by when you've learned how to cook and to fry. Chop some wood will do you good. There's no pie in the sky when you die. You will leave by and by when you've learned how to cook and to fry. Chop some wood will do you good. There's no pie in the sky when you die. There's no pie in the sky when you die. There's just sky.
Nice singing. Been a while since we've had a sing-along. That's fun.
Windborne writes all of our own arrangements. So all of the songs that you've heard tonight, though the melodies we got from other places, all of the harmonies and who sings what when and the intricate ins and outs, that's all things that we wrote together. And people often come up and ask us, so who writes for Windborne? And the answer is Windborne writes for Windborne. There's no one of us who is the person who sits down at a computer and gives sheet music to everybody else. It's a very collaborative and improvisational process. Usually the process involves deciding and sometimes taking turns who sings the melody, and everyone else gets to play. It's like being at a pub sing, except much less organized and much more repetitive.
I don't know, I've been at a lot of pub sings that were not very organized and very repetitive.
But you don't usually sing the same song for like 5 hours.
It's a long time. It's a long process of singing things, some of which work great, some of which don't work at all.
Half pub sing, half old time jam.
There you go. And then it's a process of refinement, right? It's a process of keeping the things we like, discarding the things we don't like. We often find several things we like, and then we have to do something different every single verse in order to fit them all in. So often what we end up with, I think, is worth the long hours that we spend at this, and is also quite unique, and won't be what you might hear at a classic pub sing. And this next song is a great example of this, because it's a song that you might find at a pub sing. We're going to sing Grey Funnel Line by Cyril Tawney. And though that last song was a great sing-along, this one, we do something a little bit different with it, so maybe listen.
Be warned. If you're at home, do as you please.
Don't mind the rain, nor the rolling sea. The weary night never worries me, but the hardest time in a sailor and sundown that walk ashore and sail the gray funnel line no more. Here's one more day on the gray funnel line.
Thank you so much. We're going to sing you one more song, and then we're going to take an intermission. And because those of you who are actually here during intermission, please, we invite you to join us at the sales table where we will be masked and where you can peruse our 3 albums and our t-shirts and our mailing list. The mailing list is the most important. Those of you virtual, you can go to our website, windbornesingers.com, and find all the same things, including our mailing list, which is still the most important. It's how we can let you know when we'll be back in this area, and also announcements like releases of albums and other great things that you'll want to hear about. So our albums that I'd like to tell you about, we have an album called Lay Around That Shack, which includes a lot of English and American songs, including the last 2 pieces, the last piece you heard, Gray Funnel Line, and other banjo and washboard type pieces as well. We also have an album called Midwinter Meeting, which has a variety of languages and different styles of singing traditions from around the world. There's some Corsican music, which you'll hear in the second half, as well as a spattering of, there's Georgian, there's Bulgarian, and English as well. Our most recent album on the table looks like a book. It is a book, but it's also an album. The CD is in the back cover, and this is called Song on the Times, and it's a lot of those social justice songs that you've been hearing. That's a project that's very dear to us. We also have t-shirts in a variety of sizes, but we're missing one size we've sold out of. And we do take credit cards. So if
If you're
don't
online,
let that stop
we only
you.
take credit cards.
Don't try feeding the dollars into your
the
CD
computer.
CD drive.
No, that doesn't work. Anyway, yes. So this last piece before intermission, but then there's a whole other half, so don't go away.
So this last piece is a tune from Quebec. It's called Les Tisserands, which means the weavers in French. And it sort of goes through the weekly schedule of weavers in Quebec. On Monday, they have a big party and drink a lot of wine. So they set aside Tuesday for the hangover from Monday. On Wednesday, they go into the studio and look at what they're going to be weaving this week and look at the pattern and thread the loom and just sort of generally prepare. So on Thursday, they're good and ready to go visit their girlfriends. And then on Friday, they do a little bit of weaving. On Saturday, for some reason, the weaving isn't finished yet. So that means on Sunday, it's just about time to go back to the customer and ask for a little bit more money. This is Les Tisserands.
He took away the pitch.
I didn't take it away. B.
B.
Les tisserands font plus que les évêques.
Les tisserands font plus que les évêques.
Le lundi se font une fête.
Petit pète, tu trop roi et tu trop fais. Se coucher tard le matin, puis can.
Oh la navette, le bon temps viendra.
La navette, le bon temps viendra.
Le lundi se font une fête.
Le lundi
Se font une fête.
Et les mardis, ils sont mal à la tête.
Petit pète, tu trop roi et tu trop fais. Se coucher tard le matin, puis can.
Oh la navette, le bon temps viendra.
La navette, le bon temps viendra.
Le mardi, ils ont mal à la tête.
Le mardi, ils ont mal à la tête.
Le mercredi, ils vont changer la pièce.
Petit pète,
mercredi, ils vont changer la pièce.
Le mercredi, ils vont changer la pièce.
Et le jeudi, ils vont voir la maîtresse.
Petit pétard, petit trop gros et tu trop fais ce que je t'enlève le matin avec un quinquin. Oh la, le bon temps viendra. Le bon temps viendra.
Le vendredi, ils travaillaient sans cesse.
Le vendredi, il travaille sans cesse.
Le samedi, la pièce n'est point faite.
Petit pétard, petit trop gros et tu trop fais ce que je t'enlève le matin avec un quinquin. Oh la, le bon temps viendra. Le bon temps viendra. Le samedi, la pièce n'est point faite.
Samedi, la pièce n'est point faite.
Et le dimanche, il faut de l'argent mettre. Et petit pétard, petit trop gros et tu trop fais ce que je t'enlève le matin avec un quinquin. Oh la, le bon temps viendra. Le bon temps viendra. Dit-on, 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 dit-on,
Thank you very much. Thank you, Adrian.
So take a few minutes, go to the Windborne Mall and go shopping and walk around and talk to each other. What a concept. It's great to see you. Harris wrote that one for the Pub Sing, the Old Songs Pub Sing. If you haven't seen the Old Songs Pub Sing that was at the festival, it's online at our YouTube channel. It's brilliant, and that's one of the songs that's on there. The other things from the festival will eventually be on our YouTube channel. We're working on them. It's a slow process. But in 2 weeks from tonight, on this very stage, the reason I mentioned Hunt the Whale, Reggie Harris will be here. And he's just the next in a line of wonderful concerts coming up. We have John Kirk and Trish Miller on November 6th. We have Magpie, I can't remember the date. It's in November. It's either the 19th or 20th, and I can't remember, but I'm sure Dan will tell me. And then we have Jam Crackers, which is Peggy, I call them Peggy and the Dans. So Peggy Lynn, Dan Bergeron, and Dan Duggan are going to be doing on December 3rd some solstice songs and things for the season. Then on December 12th, we have 100 Years of Fiddling with George Wilson, Donna Hebert, and Max Cohen. So it's a packed schedule. We hope to see all of you and maybe some more, and as many as we can fit in and be comfortable. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for complying with the rules and regulations that you can be here. So we thank you very much. And I'm going to not say much more. And are they ready? And from behind the door, Windborne.
Hello and welcome back to all of you in here and those of you online. It was great to chat with some of you in the YouTube, to chat with a bunch of you up at the table. We're going to start the second half with a piece that we learned from the archives of the Library of Congress. They were hosting a showcase concert called the Archive Challenge, where they invited artists to go through some of the music that they have and reinterpret it in their own style. So we found this great grainy recording of a woman named Lily Steele singing this piece called The Song of Hard Times. And it's this really biting commentary about people in a community cheating each other. And we took it and wrote some new verses to it as well and kind of zoomed out to sort of trace the lines of power, as it were, as we see it happening in today's society. And that's all I'm going to say about it. This is The Song of Hard Times.
Come all you good people, I'll sing you a song. I'll tell you the truth, I know I ain't wrong. It's from father to mother, from sister to brother. They've gotten the fashion of cheating each other, and it's hard times. Since cheating has got so much into fashion, I'm afraid it'll spread all over the nation, and it's hard times. Here's the old baker bakes all the bread we eat. Likewise the old butcher by selling his meat. They'll tip up the still yards and make them weigh down and swear it's good weight if it lacks 10 pound, and it's hard times. Since cheating has got so much into fashion, I'm afraid it'll spread all over the nation, and it's hard times. Here comes the banker with keys to his vault. I swear to you all, he's worse by tenfold. He'll hand you 1,000 and call it a loan, but then soon enough he'll take all that you own, and it's hard times. Here comes the senator with a tie and a smile. He'll pledge and he'll promise and swear it's no guile. He'll go to the Capitol and say he's your friend.
Then he'll line his silk pockets and leave you again, and it's hard times.
Since cheating has got so much into fashion, I'm afraid it'll spread all over the nation, and it's hard times. But the Lord of Industry owns the whole lot. He's got nothing to fear, 'cause the senator he's bought. He's fixing the vote and he's rigging the game, but he points to your neighbor when you ask who's to blame. Since cheating's the way of the big corporations, by now it's spread all over the nation, and it's hard times.
Now I've concluded, I've finished my song. I've told you the truth, and I know I ain't wrong.
The butcher may cheat you, the banker ain't fair,
But the problem is really the billionaire, and it's hard times.
So that last piece is off our upcoming CD of Hard Times in Harmony, as well as this next one. This next one is called Parcel of Rogues, and it comes out of an old song, a poem that was written by Robert Burns in Scotland, which is about the annexation of Scotland by England. And we were interested in the song, we really loved the melody, but we wanted to sing about something that was a little closer to home. And so we adapted the concept of the song and used the melody and wrote a song that's about some of the many atrocities that have been performed right here on this continent as part of settler colonialism. And we think it's important to recognize these and look at this history, and also at the current struggles that are ongoing today with the indigenous peoples who are still here, are still alive, and are still struggling under this system that we're all inheritors of. So this is Parcel of Rogues.
From California to Massachusetts Bay, from sea across to shining sea, in redwood forest and waves of grain lies the beauteous land of our country. Yet before we came, these lands were bound to peoples in relation to a land now seized as stolen ground. Such a parcel of rogues in a nation. When English pilgrims settled here, they met with native peoples. They bargained to build their homesteads near, and professed they would be peaceful. Then to start a war for land they claimed, a convenient accusation that poor John Sassamon was slain. Such a parcel of rogues in a nation.
Oh, betide the Cherokee, the Seminole, and the Choctaw. They've cast
passed out, now the Muskogee, they vanished as well the Chickasaw.
Through spurious claims their lands were seized. They were driven in forced migration, a trail of thousands to starve or freeze. Such a parcel of rogues in a nation. These trials endured and hardships borne, tribes started to recover. So laws were written, children torn from the arms of their own mothers, to fracture language, kin, and clan, in schools of assimilation. We will kill the Indian and save the man, said the parcel of rogues in our nation. Farewell then to their sacred ground, farewell their ancient glory. For highways we've dug up their burial mound, but buried their culture and story. Now we must write the next verse of the song, one of harm or reparation. And will we choose to right the wrongs of the parcel of rogues in our nation?
There's a style of singing that's really dear to the four of us from Corsica, and it's a really interesting style which is sung in harmony with sort of basic sketches of every song, basic ideas of what direction the melody might go, but you also sort of get to make it up. It's sort of you have a conversation with the melody as you sing it. And there's also, as part of the ensemble in Corsican singing, each singer has a specific role to play. So for this next piece, I'm going to be singing a part that's called segunda, which means second in Corsican, and it's called that because I will do everything first. And I get to sort of lead in each verse and each phrase, and I get to play around a lot with the timing and the ornamentation, and just generally get to be the team leader.
I'll be singing a part called the terza, which is Corsican for third, so I'll be singing above the segunda. And while he's correct that he does get to begin every phrase, and you'll hear that, we all do need to arrive at certain chords at the same time. It's not completely improvised, but the timing is rather free. And you see, I can spend as long as I want ornamenting around up top above that part, and it's only when I decide to land on that chord that he's allowed to lead us on. Just saying.
I will be singing the role of Basu, which is Corsican for most important. And as Will gets to start each phrase and Lynn sort of has the final say of how each of it ends, I'm kind of there as their chaperone to make sure that nothing gets too out of hand and to provide the bass for the whole song.
So traditionally, Corsican music would be sung with just those three voice parts, and as you can tell, it is very much a game. But in contemporary times, they sometimes add in a fourth part called the contra, which is the part that I'll be singing. And that's because when those three original voices sing in a really resonant space, like the little stone buildings that are all over the island of Corsica, the richness of those three voices can create overtones, which are notes that you can hear that nobody's actually singing. and they call that the angel voice. So my part gives human voice to some of those notes. And you'll see that the parts come in one at a time, layering in, and my part comes in last and sings the least because you know what they say about too much of a good thing.
So the song we'll be singing now was written actually by one of our beloved teachers of Corsican music, Jean-Etienne Langiani. New music to an old text that says, we were in the mountains of Orezza, completely of the partridge and the dove was telling the whole world that we held each other dearly. E montagne d'Orezza. Sole
Sing you another song off of our upcoming album, I think, of Hard Times and Harmony. And as we were collecting songs for this next album, it was very important to me as a bisexual woman to have a song that spoke to the queer movement. And I had a song stuck in my head called Stuff They Call Money, and I had learned a version from my friends Shisha Melotis and Sons. The original was written by Big Bill Breunig, and unfortunately the lyrics of that one go in a rather misogynistic direction. So this is a parody song. We rewrote the words after the first verse to be in a very much less straight direction. We're calling it The Trolley Problem.
the streetcar one day, the conductor put out his hand. He said, "You can't get no free ride here, man, don't you understand?
'Cause you must have the stuff they call money. You must have down in your pocket. You must have the stuff they call money, or you can't ride on here.
So I went to the public transit meeting and I raised on up my hand. Don't you know the fellas got called on one by one, and I never got to make a stand.
'Cause you must have the right equipment. You must have down in your pants. You must have the right equipment, or you can't talk in here.
So I headed to the rally in my tie and bowler hat. But my mama, she looked me up and down and said, "Are you going out like that?"
'Cause you must have the right kind of clothing. You must have the right kind of clothing, or you can't walk out there.
Well, the transportation bill got axed. It brought tears to my eyes. And inside my head I heard a voice saying,
Stop that, men don't cry. 'Cause you must have,
The right kind of
you
feelings,
must show,
no emotion,
really must have.
a stony disposition, or you can't walk out there. Well, the streetcar crashed on my morning ride, so I went to get a scan. On the doctor's form I had to choose, check woman,
or check me.
'cause you must be one or the other, and it must match what's down in your pants. You must be one or the other, or we won't see you in here. You're trying so hard to put me in a box that you won't listen to me.
And meanwhile,
I'm just trying to help folks get from point A to point B. And I don't need your opinions about my body. It's none of your business. I just want transportation for all folks around here. So I'll dress and act just how I want when I'm riding that streetcar. Name my desires and speak my truth. We are just who we are. 'Cause you must have freedom of expression, and you don't need anyone's permission. We must have a gender revolution, so let's start right here. Let's start right here.
Thank you. We're going to sing another piece now that's on our Song on the Times album. That's an old ballad, old Appalachian ballad about the Civil War. And in it, the singer is lamenting their loved one off at war and talking about how they don't know if they'll ever see them again. And it's a piece that we added a verse to emphasize the fact that for many people who are away at war, their troubles don't end when they come back home. So this is called Poor Soldier.
All out in the snow they are tonight, far away from kin and home. God help the ones who fight for the right, and them who hungry and cold. 'Tis well I recollect when he bid me farewell. He wept with head held high, away to fight for the stars and the stripes. Perhaps away to die. Poor soldier, hungry and cold. Poor soldier, hungry and cold. But those who sent him off to war, to risk both life and limb, now he's come home, they've all turned their back. Oh, who will fight for him? Poor soldier, hungry and cold. Poor soldier, hungry and cold.
Thank you. I want to take a moment to appreciate a group of people that have really maintained us in more ways than one during this past 18 months, and that's been our Patreon community. I know that we have some people, some patrons watching. Maybe we have some folks in the audience too, but thank you all so much. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's an online platform where you can support artists and be sort of a small-time patron of the arts. We think of it a little bit as a CSA for Windborne's music. You give a monthly pledge of whatever feels affordable to you, and in exchange, we send you all of the things that we're just working on, the things that haven't been released, that aren't on any CDs. We give you early access to music, the notes of our life on the road, some of the art from stuff that never gets into final projects, but the Patreon community is both where we've been getting a lot of our financial support for this past pandemic time, and also a lot of the sort of emotional, moral support that has kept us going. And so if that seems appealing to you and you'd like to check it out, you can go to patreon.com/Windborne and sign up there, and there's a number of levels, any level that you can sign up to support us. So thank you for those of you who are already doing that, and we're going to sing you now a song that is one of the first songs we released on Patreon, and it's still not on any other CD, and it won't be for probably a number of years, because I don't know when that one's coming. But it's a song in Occitan, again from the south of France. This one's a more humorous song, and it tells the story of an old woman living in Paris. She's about 80 years old, and she decides that it's high time that she go get married. She's never tried it before. So she goes and does what any one of us would do. She goes to a dance, and she strides up to a strapping young lad and says, "Would you like to get married? I can make you as rich as a merchant." The young lad is not so sure, but he's considering it. And he says, "Well, okay, show me your teeth first." And that makes her laugh, and she opens her mouth and shows him both of her teeth. But unfortunately, she's laughing too hard, and one of them falls out onto the floor. The young lad says, "Well, I think being as rich as a merchant sounds pretty nice." And so they go home, they drink some wine, there's a beautiful wedding on the Monday, and then unfortunately there's a very sad funeral on the Tuesday. But it turns out that perhaps in the end, she might have had the last laugh, for when they read her will, she only had the money of a small child. It's called La Vieille, the old woman. Yes.
La una vieille, comme ça c'est ouais chantant dans mon blouson, comme ça c'est ouais chantant dans mon blouson. La vieille, c'est maille danseau, ça c'est le prochain galant dans mon blouson, ça c'est le prochain galant dans mon blouson.
Lidi
Galant, c'est m'espouser, ti farai di chez ma chante dans mon blouson, ti farai di chez ma chante dans mon blouson.
la vieille
Y'en est
Près ni pas na vieille, che ne li è di se dans mon blouson, che ne li è di se dans mon blouson.
la vieille si est arrivée, il soit doit être dans mon blouson, il soit doit être dans mon blouson. My la
Ino che li prendo, l'altro vai in cascaio, dans mon blouson, l'altro vai in cascaio, dans mon blouson.
Lugalon
Porto la vieille, alla vieille de San Gian, dans mon blouson, alla vieille de San Gian, dans mon blouson.
Anueli fai
Belle de blanco, un po' de galant, dans mon blouson, un po' de galant, dans mon blouson.
c'est l'udilou,
C'est la sposado,
l'udi malenterato, dans mon blouson, l'udi malenterato, dans mon blouson. C'est la sposado, l'udi malenterato, dans mon blouson, l'udi malenterato, dans mon blouson. Nous farai puta alla gato, serve la
dans mon blouson, c'est la caramel dans mon blouson. De la gente che sto vieio, now I know the king John dans mon blouson, now I know the king John dans mon blouson.
Thank you. We're going to sing you another song by Phil Oakes. This one is a little bit different from a lot of his other music. So many of his songs have that biting social critique. And this one is much more self-reflective and contemplative. This is his song, When I'm Gone.
There's no place in this world where I'll belong when I'm gone, and I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone. You won't find me singing on this song when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't breathe the bracing air when I'm gone, and I can't even worry about my cares when I'm gone. I won't be asked to do my share when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't be running from the rain when I'm gone, and I can't even suffer from the pain when I'm gone.
Can't say who's to praise and who's to blame when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it here. I won't see the golden of the sun when I'm gone. The evenings and the mornings will be one when I'm gone. Can't be singing louder than the guns when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. All my days won't be dances of delight when I'm gone. The sands will be shifting from my sight when I'm gone. Can't add my name into the fight when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. I won't be laughing at the lies when I'm gone. I can't question how or when or why when I'm gone. Can't live proud enough to die when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. In this world we're all alone when I'm gone. And I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone. You won't find me singing on this song when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here.
We have just one more song for you this evening, but before we sing that, we wanted to say a really, really big thank you to Joy and all the wonderful folks here at Old Songs Inc. for having us. Woo! And also a really enormous thank you to all of you, the live audience, both in person and virtual, for coming out and enjoying, or staying in and enjoying an evening of live music. We feel so lucky to be able to still be doing this. The last year and a half has really shown us what a precious and valuable thing performance is, and what a delicate thing it is. So we feel really lucky to be still able to be doing this right now. And if you want to help support us keep doing this, you can support our Patreon, buy our CDs, send emails to all your friends like, hey, check out this band Windborne. Send emails to all your favorite venues, hey, check out this band Windborne. It really helps hearing it not from us. We can tell anybody how great we are all day. And it helps. It seems a little less biased not coming from us. So our final song for you this evening is a Québécois tune, a modern Québécois fable written by Nicolas Boulris, the frontman of the wonderful Québécois folk band of Vent du Nord. And it's called Le Diable et le Fermier, The Devil and the Farmer. And it's an adaptation of an old fable where the devil and the farmer are having a little bit of a contest of wits. And the farmer in these fables is usually looking to sort of read the fine print better than the devil wrote it, so he can sort of get out of it and get on top, get a better deal out of it. Unfortunately, in this particular version of the fable, the devil has a lot of industry contacts in the fossil fuel industry, which doesn't turn out so well for the farmer. But we won't give you the entire thing because we've actually done this as a bilingual version. So this is Le Diable et le Fermier, and thank you all so much for being here and being somewhere connected to that camera over there this evening.
C sharp.
C'est l'histoire d'un diable sortant du bois de flamme, promettant au fermier de lui laisser son homme.
Our story starts in flame, a devil straight from hell who to a farmer swore to spare his mortal soul. If he divide and share the harvest he had sown, half and half for each, that's how
stagnation.
Le diable choisit pour que l'entente soit bonne de garder ce qui reste sur la terre à l'automne.
The devil chose his half to sweeten up his all. He'd take the part that lay above the ground and fall.
The farmer he agreed and planted straight away potatoes, carrots, beets, which beneath the ground all lay.
Des patates, des carottes,
Véritable navet.
Ho, 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 who would trade their bounty? Ho, 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 les
Ho,
ho, ho, ho,
ho,
ho, ho, du diable ou de l'homme.
Quand arriva le temps d'échanger les butins, les diables ont maudit, ne lui restait plus rien.
When it was time in fall to divvy up the spoils,
The devil's share was not, it caused his blood to boil.
He to the farmer said, I'll not be tricked again, I'll take the half below. See how you like it then.
Venez donc à tout ce qui pousse sur le terrain.
Le fermier accepta et planta 7 fois
Des tomates, des courgettes, des melons et des
The
pois.
farmer took the deal and planted all his seeds, tomatoes, squash, and peas, melons and green beans.
At harvest time, the fiend, with nothing for him, then returned to dig his hell. The farmer wins again.
Retourne vers Satan, le fermier triompha. Ho, ho, ho,
Who gamble without knowing.
ho, ho, ho,
Sans connaître le marché.
ho, 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 ho.
La terre est sous ses pieds. Le diable revint, respectant sa parole, de l'homme sur gaz du fer, il viderait le sol.
But keeping to his word, the devil turned around. He drained the iron, the gas, and the water from the ground.
Now on that barren land, what can spring up today? Just poisonous leaves and gas, tainted water and
Le
decay.
soulier et les fruits, des gaz empoisonnés.
La terre fragilisée, comme ce Québécois condamné à bouillir, l'eau que son enfant boit.
The farmer, like the land, stood shattered and defiled, henceforth condemned to boil the water for his child.
The devil thus enriched, from land all dry and sped, left to seek new ground, leaving nothing but cement.
Ho, ho, ho,
The anti-war stood
Ho, 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 qui donc aura perdu? Ho, 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 ces précieuses énergies. Ho, 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 who's lost and who has won? Ho, 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 will we repeat the bargain?
ho, 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 or is the deal already done?
So much. You've really been a wonderful audience. I suppose we do know one more song. This is a piece that is originally based on a song called 4 Pence a Day that comes from the lead mining pits in the north of England, and it talks about the starvation, wages, and really dismal working conditions in that industry. And we found a version of the melody by a group called Cross of the Hands that we really loved. And we've rewritten the words to be about sort of similar issues, but in an industry that's a little bit closer to home for us.
My father was a folk musician. He used to sell LPs, cassette tapes in the 1980s, and later on CDs. I told him I'd take up his trade, but he looked at me to say, it's very hard to work for just 0.4 cents a play. 0.4 cents a play, my friends, just 0.4 cents a play. It's very hard to work for just 0.4 cents a play. He said back in the good old days, the lines would all be long. As people queued to buy CDs, they formed a joyous throng. But now the music's all online, for discs they will not pay. My darling child, the times have changed, that's how it is today. For now they put the CDs down, and with a curious eye, they ask the dreaded question then, are you on Spotify? And with a sigh we answer yes, but this we'd rather say, it's very hard to work for just 0.4 cents a play. 0.4 cents a play, my friends, just 0.4 cents a play. It's very hard to work for just 0.4 cents a play. At the cafe just down the street, they roast a tasty bean. I order up a cappuccino, it costs 1,000 streams. And if I want to pay my rent, I'm very sad to say, it costs 250,000 streams at 0.4 cents a play. 0.4 cents a play, my friends, just 0.4 cents a play. It costs 250,000 streams at 0.4 cents a play. I have not come to tell you all that Spotify is bad. In fact, I sometimes stream some music while hanging out with Dad. But if I love an artist's songs for their CD, I'll pay, 'cause I know how hard it is to work for 0.4 cents a play. 0.4 cents a play, my friends, just 0.4 cents a play, 'cause I know how hard it is to work for 0.4 cents a play. 0.4 cents a play, my friends, just 0.4 cents a play. So support musicians because they're worth more than 0.4 cents a play.
Stop at the Windborne Mall before you go home if you haven't been there already. And even if you have, maybe you missed one. Anyway, thank you all for coming. Many hands make light work, so if you can take your chairs to the side, that's great. Thank you. We hope to see you all for Reggie in a couple of weeks and everything else this season.
We will also say if you don't want a CD, there is a Spotify guilt alleviation fund.